Well, I hope that was a good way to start. Who do we have? We see we got any calculation. We got a whole whopping 2. Oh my God, how are we going to handle this?
Yeah, no, I got stage fright.
Yeah. So who's out there? Anybody? Anybody out there? There's Brent. Hello, Brent.
Hey, Mr. Arnold.
This is going to be an interesting night.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting. Who else we got out there? We're gonna talk. We're gonna do a book review on a Colonel book. Gonna start with it tonight, and I got some highlights. Get an early start on it, and then we'll try to finish it off over the next 2 more episodes. Then move on to the next Colonel book until Peter Gronik's book comes out. Now we're down to 1. Brent's the only one left still, unless he left. Let's see. I don't know. This might have been a bad time to do this. Either that or maybe people got word out that. Oh, there we go. We got 3 more. Hey, folks, jump on in. Let us know who's here, or just send a number 1. Oh, and now we're down.
Who's behind door number 1?
Yeah. Now we drop down to 3. What are we gonna do? This might be like really short tonight.
Yeah.
We'll always come back. Don't have any trivia for this studio. I should set up some kind of trivia for this. So I don't know if who's did I put that picture up? I don't know if I put that picture up. Let me see here.
And yeah, they are fixing the coffee.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's see here. We got upload new, and I don't know which one's which. Which one is the book? That's it. Open. All right, so this is the book we're going to be doing tonight. Colonel Parker, The Curious Life of Elvis Presley's Eccentric Managers. This is what Baz Luhrmann and Sony bought to base a lot of the information that they got about the Colonel for the movie Elvis a couple years ago. It's actually pretty good. It's not a whole lot of pages. I mean, it's just a really. Let's see, got down to there. It's only 231 pages. I think I read it one night, real quick. It's quite interesting. Kind of gives the settlement of him coming into the country and all that. But let's see. I think with 5 p.m. on the East Coast, I'm driving home, and it's 10 p.m. for UK viewers. That's my guess. Yeah. That's a good point. We're trying all different times to, catch people at different times. I know it's so hard between the UK and the States and everywhere else to be able to cover everybody, that wants to. We're up to 5. Let us know who's here. Or you're just checking in to see.
What's cooking?
What's cooking? Hey. Claire, put that back up. Colonel Tom Parker. James, it sold pretty well too. Very well written. That's why I want to do these books, is to kind of compare them with the new Goronic book, and compare notes, how much, because I take Goronic as the print, I've said this 1,000 times, but I take Goronic as the main biographer for Elvis, books.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting to compare notes.
Yeah. So, because it comes out in about 2.5 months left, and I still got a bunch of books here to get through. This is the book that's the hot topic over there on our Nemesis channel, is the Atlanta Nash Revelations
Oh,
from the Memphis Mafia, where it's basically it's Billy Smith, Marty Lacker, and Lamar Fike, and it's basically each one saying something about
mhm.
about Elvis and their relationship, and it's got some pretty I'm not going to use the word nasty, but pretty very elaborate, detailed specifics on some of the stories that they tell, and a lot of really personal stuff, and it is what it is. I'm not a fan of her. I've read most of her books. I don't know if I've read that one yet, but I've never really been impressed with her writing. Atlanta Nash.
Geez, that book's almost as thick as one of the Warren Report
I
books.
know. Yeah, I got. I've got all that on my hard drive. The Warren Commission.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've read the whole thing. It's quite long.
Geez, that must have taken an eternity to read through
For
all of that.
2.5 months, I was doing a school project based on the Kennedy assassination, and
Oh,
I read the whole. I was supposed to come up with my belief of what happened, and so
uh-huh.
I went through the whole Warren Commission, everything, all that stuff. This was in high school, 1975, and yeah, it was only 12 years after he was assassinated. So
Hmm.
there was still fresh information on a lot of stuff. But I don't know. We got a low crowd. If we can get into the book here, and let's just get moving. Who we still got here? Anybody want to pop in their name but Brent? Anybody?
Yeah.
Let us know that you're here.
Ding, ding, ding,
All
ding,
right.
ding,
Well, let's
ding,
just do this.
ding.
So I'm going to go to the book here. If I can find the book here. All right. So a lot of pictures of Parker in his early days, long before he even started doing Hank Snow and all of them. I need to put this over to here so I can read the comment. You're going to get more on replay with this one. Yeah. So here's Tom Parker with actor Gig Young. He was Parker at the time was a like a pet. He took care of pets, for studios and things like that. This was during the filming of Air Force at Tampa Drew Field, 1942. Tampa's the place that Parker entered this country at.
Oh,
Of course, then of course you got Eddy Arnold, which is one of his very first clients.
yeah.
And here's the governor that coined him with the name Colonel.
Oh,
It
okay.
was Louisiana's governor, Jimmy Davis, and he's the one that bestowed upon him the honorary colonel. And then it happened again in Tennessee. Colonel Parker, far left, with Eddy Arnold left a poster, and this is 8 years before Elvis did his first single, and then what is it? 9 years, whatever. 1955 is when he started tying in with Elvis.
Yeah,
So,
9 years.
so he's still in top Tampa, and I think this is about where he's. I think he meets Eddy Arnold here, and of course we all know this picture. This is about as iconic of a Sun Studios picture that there can be, you know.
Yeah, the beginning of it all.
Yeah, in person, Elvis Presley. I can't read where. Souvenir picture room, early 1957. That picture's not 1957. I mean,
No.
because that picture's 54.
Yeah, the cover of an early souvenir picture book.
Yeah, Brenda Lee was a big fan of Elvis's. Elvis with Brenda Lee backstage the Grand Ole Opry.
She wasn't very tall, was she?
Oh no, I don't think she even hit 5 foot. I think she was like 4'10" or something like that.
Shame.
Parker counting complimentary tickets. These are kind of out of order of what they should be time chronological, but of course that's the image I have of Parker whenever I think of him.
Yeah.
You know, like he's telling somebody, you know, how it's to be done. Parker with his wife Marie, that was his first wife.
Yeah.
The Duke Kanamoko upon their arrival in Hawaii. This must have been 61. I don't know when Marie died.
I think she died in the 70s.
Colonel Parker congratulates Elvis at a birthday party on the set of Wild in the Country. Yeah, boy. Parker with Vernon Presley Center is 1961. These are all the pictures that were in the center of the book. I just figured I'm just going to show them all at one time.
Yeah.
George Jessel. That's the cover of the book. Elvis getting off the train. Of course, there he is behind. I don't know if it's my screen or if that's on the picture. No.
Yeah.
Memphis homecoming after the Army.
Man, he looked good in his army uniform.
Yeah, he did. Tom Parker with Hal Wallace. Elvis concert. Out handing stuff around. Meets with Elvis fans. Mrs. Bertha Smith. That's a Southern name. And I can say that because I'm Colonel Parker out on the road selling souvenirs. Of course, we know this picture. You know, Parker dressed up like a clown. Priscilla Presley during the modeling. I don't know why this is in the Colonel book, but that's Chips Moman.
Chips.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great producer. Great, you know, he died. When did he die? 70s? I mean, early 2000s. I forget. I gotta think of that up. Oh, Scotty.
Yeah.
Scotty Moore with the Jordanaires at home.
Jordanaires.
Yeah. Parker in Memphis, 1981. Obviously, after Elvis died. That was just before before they opened. Wonder what he was doing. Brent says that he died in 2016. Chips Moman. I knew it wasn't that long ago because I remember reading about it, and you know, one of these days I'm going to print up all the songs that he had hit top 10 hits with out of that studio.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
You know, because he started with Stax. Royal American Shows. What's that?
Before American?
Before American, yeah. He took the money that he got out of Stax and built American Sound.
Oh.
I think it was like $300,000 or something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah, but he was one of the first ones at Stax. That's why the Memphis Boys played at both states, you know, American Sound and then Stax. Now this is in Tampa in the 40s. Parker was working all the carnivals. You know, it was I think it was a permanent carnival. You know, but in Tampa. But that was where he landed. Now, I don't know if it's this book or Dick Valenga's book. It states that he left. He went back and he came back again. And they think he stole. There's all kinds of different stories. That's why I want to read Peter's. But he stowed away on a liner to get here. Well, but then also too, and I think it was in the '70s or somewhere along the line. I think it's this book that says that he actually met one of his brothers in L.A. They planned to meet together. And they did. So his family knew where he was at.
Ah,
There's the stories that there's the stories that he just disappeared. Nobody ever knows where he went. He killed his woman, and or all kinds of different stuff. And some of the details about the death, the murder, you sit back and you think. And when they tell the stories about Parker, or Andres Van Cleok, or however you pronounce his name, I kind of want to say, yeah.
Andries van Kijk.
Yeah, quite. So anyway, I forgot what I was saying. So so there's all kinds of different stories, but he did go back one time and re-entered. He served in the American military. It's actually he's actually a very interesting person. He's a one of a kind. He was a one of a kind. There's something drove him to go the route. I mean, he didn't care. He didn't care if he was shoveling, elephant shit, there, as long as he knew he was going to get where he wanted to go.
Yeah, he was prepared
Yeah,
to go all avenues to get wherever he intended to go.
yeah. So anyway, here's the beginning of the book. I don't know what did I. Oh, that's on the behind. So at the beginning, I kind of highlight some of these things on different pages that we can go into a little bit of a discussion with. So it'll be just the few of us right now. But so by the early 30s, when he first appeared on the scene in the Tampa Bay area, the Florida land boom of the 1920s had subsided, leaving behind a flood of new arrivals. Some with fortunes to invest, others desperate for work. It was the ideal time and place for Parker to put down roots. With the exception of the Tampa Bay area, the entire west coast of Florida was a desolate wasteland. And they say that's, I think it's in this book, it'll come up, but that's the reason why he was able to get into this country so easy, is because he came into the port of Tampa, where they were just bringing people in because they needed the people. So he I don't know how he figured that out across the ocean, but he did, and back in those days, the only way you find out things is by writing letters. In the 1930s, newspaper reports, they're not going to be telling you anything if you're living in another country about the economic of Tampa Bay.
No.
They're not going to read that. So since it offered the only major port between Key and Pensacola, it was heavily favored by illegal immigrants. It was this book, who wanted to bypass the mainstream ports on the West Coast. Cubans arrived by the thousands to work in the area's cigar factories, and it was the port of choice for those who preferred a backdoor entry into the United States. Of all the ports in America, it was the one that asked the fewest questions. It was the place to go if you had the past and wanted a new start. So he did his research. Somehow he did his research, because what are the odds that if you're headed to this country on a liner, especially if you're stowed away, whether that's true or not, we'll find out in one of these books what they have to say about that. How's he going to know that you either got the East Coast, the West Coast, you got Lower Florida, you got? How would he guess that Tampa Bay would be the one to choose? It's got to be the hardest place for him to get to. I guess a liner could be landed in Tampa. That, in fact, more than likely they were. Hey, Banjo Paul, I'll listen whilst I nestle in my bed with my hot water bottle and cocoa. Forgive me if you hear me start snoring. When Parker first arrived in Tampa in the early 1930s, he had not been using that name for long. There is no documented record of his existence in America before his arrival in Tampa. Everything about his life prior to that is an historical blur. It would be decades before anyone determined that his real name was Andreas
Van Kijk.
Van Kuyk. According to the best evidence, I hate to do that, but the man's dead. According to the best evidence available, of course, I guess there are other people that have got that. I shouldn't be mocking it. It's just hard to say. It's that word. I could say Andreas, I could say Van, but that word has got too many I's in it. Actually, it's only got one I. It's an I and a J, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a dumbass I am. According to the best evidence available, evidence later accepted by Tennessee probate court and left unchallenged by Tom Parker himself that he was born Andreas van Kuyk in Breda, Holland on June 26, 1909. He had 5 brothers and sisters. 4 other siblings would arrive before he reached the age of 10. Okay, so he had 5 brothers and sisters before him, and then there were 4 others. What a freaking well, she was productive, and he was busy.
Yeah.
Daddy was busy, man.
There was
When did he go to work?
there was no TV in those days.
Yeah, yeah. His parents were Adam and Maria von Kuyk. From all indications, he had. Oh, you know what? I didn't highlight that. I bet you don't have the next page. He had a fairly normal childhood. His maternal grandparents. Oh yeah, Johannes and Marie Ponzi made a living as itinerant peddlers who traveled the waterways of the Netherlands hawking trinkets. See, it's in the family, you know. That whole hawking of stuff, merchandising and selling stuff. That's where he got that idea. That's where that came from. Bonjo Paul or any blue pill wealthy man. That's a good one. That's really good.
Trust Banjo Paul to
Yeah.
come out with a right field ball.
I'm still not coming out there to massage your feet, so you can forget that idea. Okay, so all we know for certain is that Andreas dropped out of sight in the late 1920s and early 30s. That would mean in Holland.
Yeah.
Or he just dropped out of sight. They don't know where he went. Somewhere between Holland and the United States, he shed his old identity and reinvented himself. As Andreas discarded his Dutch identity, Tom Parker was being birthed, fully grown. That just sounds funny. He was being birthed, fully grown and sporting a gigantic Cuban rolled cigar protruding from his mouth. Hello, he said upon his arrival in the gritty port city of Tampa. My name's Tom Parker, and I'm from Huntington, West Virginia. So a colonel is born, well, not a colonel, but Tom Parker is born. It looks like right in the early 1930s is when it comes. Somewhere between what they say 1920 and 1929 was that?
Yeah.
Andre dropped out of sight between the late 20s and early 30s.
In early 30s. Yeah.
Wow. So throughout the 20s and early 30s, there were dozens of midway carnivals that crisscrossed America, providing entertainment for fairs, circuses, and independent promoters. I'll tell you what, you know, this is, you see, now I'm getting back to this DNA stuff of Elvis. You know, now you've got this portion that where they're showing the creation of Parker, that partial when it comes in, and the carnival, and then we're going to find out about, well, I don't know, that didn't really reflect much on Elvis as far as handling the pets, but it did involve him. He did get familiar with the movie business through that way, you know. So, you know, I know that the colonel is a I don't know how to say it as far as the subject's concerned, but it's a very love-hate relationship with this guy. You got people that really that do think the world of. I don't know about the world of him, but you got those that who work for him, who stand by him, everything. And you got the people who are on the fence, which is me, and you got people that just downright hate him. But I want to review this book to find out why people hate him. This is going to tell us the story of the man, and this and some of the other books, so that when we get to Peter Grodnick's book, we're going to be able to compare all these notes, and maybe we get more of a finite picture of who Parker was.
Yeah.
Paul,
An opinion.
Banjo Paul says, "I'm waiting." Well, you can keep waiting. These hands do not massage feet. You
Well,
might
now we
wind
know.
up, you might wind up getting a pedicure with a hacksaw. That kind of sounds painful, huh?
Yeah,
All
now
right.
we know who. Now we know who has the foot fetish in the group.
Yeah. The Johnny J. Jones expedition was one of the best known, but there were many others, and I'm sure he went bouncing around. One of the most aggressive was the Tampa-based Royal American Shows, which had begun operation in the early 1920s. It played catch-up throughout the decade, but by the early 1930s, it was the dominant midway attraction in the country, a distinction that continued into the next century. And that's what started taking him to Louisiana and all these other places, Did I really seriously forget to put my creamer in my coffee? What a dumbass. All right, well, it's just going to be flavored. That's it. Sorry, guys. So that's the first time Carl J. Sedemeier saw Parker was in 1931 or 32. Sedemeier was 12 or 13 at an age when he was just learning the ropes of the carnival business from his father. Parker was 22 and hard to miss, a 6-footer with a pudgy, pear-shaped midsection. He stood out in a crowd. Sedemeier's recollection of Parker are still vivid. He doesn't recall what city they were in, but one day he was walking on the grounds and looked up and saw a new face. He paid attention because carnivals are families, and new members are always scrutinized. Tom Parker was behind the counter of a concession stand, standing tall amid the crowded hurly-burly of the Midway, selling candied apples with all the enthusiasm and fervor of a tent show evangelist. Yeah, that's
That sounds like him.
yeah. Yeah, I mean he had no shame. That's one thing about Parker. He anything to make a nickel.
He could have sold ice to an ice factory, that guy.
Yeah. But this is what I found. This is the most interesting part to me is all this beginning of Parker here in the first part of this book. Okay, so the next thing I have is traditionally the carnival train pulled out of Tampa in March or April. For as long as anyone can remember, the season always begins the first week in May at the annual Cotton Carnival celebration in Memphis, Tennessee, and ended the last week in October at the Louisiana State Fair in Shreveport. Two cities that would prove to be critical in the careers of both Tom Parker and Elvis Presley. And there is where the connection
Comes together.
starts to come together, right? Interesting. So
It's almost.
we got Dick Valenga's book's going to give us a little more history story. I think I don't think this book does, but this one seems to pick up when Parker got here. Dick Valenga's book covers a lot of birth to leaving,
Oh,
and then getting into a little bit more of Elvis, and so does one other book that I got, and it's quite interesting what they talk about him with what they've been able. I don't know if they talk to family members. Well, freaking 9 siblings. He should. Some of them I would assume are still alive.
yeah, that would be interesting to know.
Yeah. Parker traveled with a trainload of strangers, but the one thing he shared with his companions was a healthy distrust of authority. No shit. Carnival staffs are not composed of 9 to 5 button-down collar types who thrive on regimentation and a sense of social responsibility. First thing Parker would have done upon arriving in Memphis, especially since it was his first outing with the carnival, would have been to find out who the bosses were. Not that he would have had any desire to schedule a meeting. The idea was to stay out of their way. And sounds about right.
Yeah.
Now we're getting the groundwork there in Memphis. In the early 1930s, Memphis was home to one of the most powerful crime cartels in the country. For more than 2 decades, the Prudential Insurance Company had labeled Memphis the murder town of America, based on a study of Are you kidding me? Oh, that's right. That's all I wanted in there was just to the murder town of America. I wasn't too concerned about the city. I know that when I was growing up, Memphis was always looked upon as a kind of a dirty place to go, unsafe, dirty place to go. And when you think about Martin Luther King being killed there, and just a lot of when you see videos from the '60s, you see a lot of crime photos or pictures that looks like of homeless people or people living in projects all over Memphis. And look at Elvis, they wound up living in projects there.
Yeah, and it's crazy how it's like come full circle now, again.
Yeah. This is talking about one of the jobs that Parker had. He had a job of selling hot dogs, and he would stick globs of mustard and cheap fixings in between. But if anybody ever looked at their hot dog and complained that they had been cheated, Parker pointed to a wiener he had tossed into the sawdust earlier in the day. Well, why you dropped your meat, boy? Banjo Paul, I'm missing all those. Now I'm having nightmares, Paul. It's fucking narrative, man. We need to have a narrative. Night, Jen. Sorry I can't stay, but otherwise, what if the sheep weren't calling? Catch you on the next one. All right. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for popping in.
Yeah. Another story has it that when one of the carnival's food concessions was doing poorly, there was a talk among the carnival management of reducing the price of a meal from 50 cents to 25 cents. Parker said he had better idea. He painted a sign that said, admission $1. If not satisfied, half money back. Of course, the concession was flooded with customers who wanted to take advantage of the good deal. He's a slick one, man.
Yeah.
One more thing. When the makings for a particular concession commodity were in short supply, such as enough lemons for lemonade, Parker would go to the nearest drugstore and purchase packets of citric acid to give his concoction the right taste.
Good Lord.
Wow. Well, the story is, too, and I'm sure this will be brought up when one of the things he used to do is he put a hot plate out there and he'd put chickens on top of it with the plate on, and we call them dancing chickens. Yet they were dancing on the fucking hot pot plate.
Yeah, well, somebody put a hot plate under my feet, I'd dance too.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I got. I got for the book today. I wanted to get it going. The next book review we will cover a lot more chapters. It's not a long book. We'll probably finish it in the next one, which we'll do in a couple of days. I want to try to get at least 2 of these book, reviews, discussions, whatever you want to call them. All right. Well, we've dropped down. Do we want to cover everything with a low base, or what do you want to do? Hold it for another day?
Yeah, let's hold it for another day.
Yeah. So we got some things we need to discuss, and I think we're going to hold it. Maybe do it tomorrow. Do a later show. Do a midnight show. That's where we usually get a good crowd. We'll do a midnight show maybe tomorrow night and cover what we got. We got some stuff that we just need to address, and but also too we want to talk about some news and things like that. I saw another post today on Facebook regarding the film, the videos that Boz is supposed to have. So hopefully that's not a just some story that somebody put out there. We'll we'll know. We'll find out. It's supposed to be by the end of this year. Says that's the way it is. Film. I hope he does one on Elvis on tour too.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice. I'm hoping actually that he's gonna separate the two.
Yeah, I you know what, from the sound of it and the premiere that we saw, that little video thing that was put together, whether it was real or not, once again, it seems like that's what he's going to do. He's going to do that's the way it is, and then do Elvis on tour. So it'll be curious. I'm really curious to see what kind of take what he has.
Yeah, I'm itching to see that too. I think it's gonna be something really interesting.
Yeah.
New perspective on old stuff.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let me close this out. Let me close the book out. I got a couple little short videos since we're online here. Oops, wrong one.
A couple of shorts.
A couple of shorts, yeah. Where's the book? So let me see what I got here. I got some videos I wanted to do this last coffee date. Actually, we could probably do this Gates of Graceland unboxing thing. Well, no, we don't have enough people here. Let's see. Videos. We saw that one. We watched that one. Well, maybe I've already shown them all. The unboxing, the Elvis books, that's 30 minutes long. I don't know. We only have 3 people online, so we'll save it for another day because I'd like to really get a chat going with all this. What we'll do is we'll save it. We'll do the second part of this book tomorrow night. We'll do the midnight show. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do
That'll be
midnight
6 in the
tomorrow.
morning for you, so I'll do midnight. I know that's going to cut out some the people in the UK, but we might get some people in the on the state side too. So it's just hard with the times.
Yeah, it's difficult to coordinate everywhere and everyone.
Yeah. What have we got? Well, listen, all 4 you, all whoever is out there. You still here, Brent? Thanks, guys. Thanks, Brent. When you're global, you can please everyone with the time. When I'm global.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see. I saw. I thought it said can. I see it now. I have my glasses pulled back up. Yeah, you can't please. Yeah, that's the whole thing. But that's why Cam and I are just gonna float different times for things. We can get some people. And at least, fortunately, everybody can catch the replay.
Yeah.
Let me see something. Let me find out one of these little short documentaries here. We did that one. TCB Gang. Reinventing. Nope. I don't want a real long one. Nope. Oh, that's going to be a little bit too long. I got that June Wanaco one. With June. That's going to be a good one to play.
Yeah.
That's too many. Now I wonder what this is about.
Yes, and he always stood right.
Negotiation.
Oh, you know what? Let's try this. If we get bumped off, we get bumped off. We're down to 3. You know what? I'll save that for one. We're down to 3, so we're gonna go. And we'll come back tomorrow. We'll do the rest of this book, or try to get the rest of this book done, and we'll just talk then. We got some other stuff we want to address, so we'll just do it tomorrow night. All right, guys. Thanks very much, and we shall catch y'all later. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.